bigger than Josh Smith, and that sent Ben over the edge. He's lost it. Ben's gone.
Well, obviously, let's not go for context. Let's not talk about why bigger than Josh Smith.
Let's not, but yeah, if you want to know, you can ask. Episode 47, guys. We're approaching a half century, like all good batsmen. But yeah, we're still here. We're still here, back bigger than ever. Got a competitor Rackets podcast, but we're on number 47. They're on number 2. Established brand, I guess. But yeah,
mate, you always said you wanted to be an influencer.
Oh,
and you've literally done that.
We will be an influencer. That's where like the brand. I'm going to take the brand. I'm going to take the brand from podcast into like real tennis influencerness.
You have to hold like a conference.
Yeah, an influencer conference. Yeah.
Like you could do like they do like Comic-Con in America.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Go on. This is good.
Just do like that for real. Let's get everybody like.
Realicon.
Yeah, real con.
Real con. This is like we've still not done the podcast right, and this is an idea for future. I've just thought it's now. Yeah, the Weatherspoons one.
Well, mate, we've got light at the end of the tunnel now with the roadmap out of this.
Oh yeah,
disaster.
True. Yeah, that's not wrong. We could still do the 5 beers podcast.
Well, to be fair, even if we can't do it in spoons, which let's face it would be a disaster.
It would be an absolute disaster.
So much background noise and people everywhere. But before that, we'd be able to like get beers and probably sit in the club garden. That'd be allowed at that point.
Yeah, so true. Readers will be allowed on April the 12th, right? So I'll be able to come and hit with you.
Well, that's not. We're waiting for further guidance from the TNRA on that. I think a lot of people have kind of jumped the gun and just gone, yeah, we're opening. But I think the plan is to open for everybody. But
yeah.
I think generally speaking, everybody takes the TNRA's kind of guidance, and they haven't. I think they're still kind of seeking advice and stuff from the LTA to get it all exactly lined up to make sure it's okay. So I think it's one of those things where, like, yes, it probably will be April the 12th.
But it'll be like April the 12th, but it'll only be coaching. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like.
Yeah, it'll be like it was before, I reckon. Well, I mean, I don't know, but I imagine it's going to be same household or one-on-one.
That's that. You know what? Couldn't care less. That's fine with me because I
only ever play with me, Chris, or your dad anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Or Daz.
Or Darren.
It's like just doesn't affect me. Like, yeah, well, that's normal real tennis to me.
Yeah. So yeah, April the 12th is the hope of everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Just imagine like people just listening in Australia. They're like, been playing for a couple of months.
Yeah, I know. We've had a tournament.
We've not played since Christmas.
Yeah, I can't even remember. It'll be annoying for the 3rd time having to pick up a racket and be like, oh,
do you know, I've never even thought about that. But let's assume it is April the 12th.
Yeah.
And we got locked down on, New Year's Eve or the 30th or something like that. So literally it will be 3.5 months again. They need to sort this out. It's absolutely useless. Sorting this whole thing out over here.
Is that the same amount of time it was before?
Yeah, it was end of March, or pretty. In terms of reelers, no. Last time it was 4 months because it was like end of March to the end of July. But pubs and stuff were open at the beginning of July.
Yeah, they were.
So it's basically the same amount of time again. Yeah.
Near enough, yeah. Give or take a month. I mean, what's a month really?
And you know what's actually like quite funny is last time when we got released from lockdown, they went completely to the opposite end of the spectrum and were like, right now, like eat out to help out, get out and about and mingle as much as you can.
Yeah.
Which quite clearly didn't work.
Apparently they're going to do eat out to help out again.
Well, and literally like they're proposing obviously back to normal by mid-June, so it's going to be quite a quick process from lockdown to completely open living again. But obviously the vaccine helps. So.
Yeah, apparently. I don't really care as long as I can get back in the gym because, like, honestly, I'm just dying. I'm dying, Ben. My chest is falling apart.
Are you just deflating by the day?
Mate, it's not fair. I'm trying so hard, but like, there's only so many press-ups you can do.
Not true. Do more.
Thanks for that. But yeah.
I am absolutely loving having a home gym.
To be fair, you get what you pay for, really.
Yeah, you've got water butts, and I've got squat rack assault
No,
bar.
I do have a barbell,
etc.
I do have a
Oh,
barbell,
sorry, you've got your barbell. You're absolutely right.
but I mean that's about it.
Yeah, but mate, why don't you just go on like eBay or something and just buy some plates?
Well, you
like
do.
Used.
You know what's
You
happening?
can get some garbage from local people pretty cheap. I mean, obviously you're in lockdown, so you can't go and get them.
Well, what's happening now is my granddad is making me a bench out of wood. I'm not even joking, mate. I'm not even joking.
Love that. As in, granddad down this way.
Yeah, mate. He's making me a bench, so so I can bench my 45 kilo 45 kilo barbell.
Which would be great because by the time he's made that, you'll be able to go to the gym.
Yeah, that is my worry. Like, thanks for this, but won't be getting used.
Yeah, exactly.
Can always sit on a bench somewhere.
Straight into the shed. But what a fantastic gesture.
I think he needs something to do.
Well, I mean, brilliant. Why not?
Exactly.
Utilise that.
Both parties are happy.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
So yeah, I can't really complain now. But no, exciting that looking like there is a roadmap to get out of lockdown. It's the 3rd of March today, so yeah, it won't be long before.
Of course, it's still over a month away anyway.
Yeah, but that'll fly by, mate. That last day, I'll literally I'll be queuing up outside like a ticket for Wimbledon.
Camping.
Yeah, camping outside.
If you turn up the next day, you'll be out there in your tent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would you imagine that? That'd be a good way to try and flog courts, wouldn't it? Rather than like letting people book, just be like turn up, see how many people turn up for that first court.
Yeah, we'll book everyone that way.
First come, first served.
Oh well, all an idea. Right, well, that's not yet. We don't have to think about that yet.
True.
What is your topic for today? Because I've forgotten it.
Well, I just thought we've spoken a lot about how to get better at every level. Like we've tried to be as inclusive as possible. It's not a top level podcast, is it? Like,
no
insight into that.
No, top level banter.
Every time we've done like coaching points and stuff like that, I've always tried to kind of mention at club level and stuff like, when we talked about like the volley. We said it's a bit different at club level. Is it like top level and stuff like that? And it's something I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was just like, which attributes do you need to have to become a top 10 player? And it's quite a lively debate because. So I was thinking basically like the Cyborg. We gave an opinion on who we thought the best people at those things were.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, which of those things could you effectively just put in the bin and go, no, you don't need that. As in, you could have it, but you don't need it. Do you know what I mean? And there's certain things that you do need. And the way I kind of think about it is, imagine you've got like a new computer game, and you're creating, like, I don't know, you've got like a boxing game, and you're creating a new boxer, right?
Yeah.
And you've got loads of different abilities like speed and power and jab, whatever. And you've got a certain number of points you can allocate to your boxer. Right. So you can choose how good they are at certain stuff. However, there's not enough points to make them invincible, right? So you've got to sacrifice a couple of things if you want to make a couple of things really, really good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. Cool. That's cool.
So I was kind of thinking we could do that with a Reelers player for top 10.
Okay.
But also the reason it sparks quite a lively debate is you've got different opinions on it in different styles, and no one's necessarily right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And we've also got the added kind of layer that I am currently in the top 10, and I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. You are currently not in the top 10, but are striving to be in the top 10, and you know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So you might say, I need to do this to get into the top 10.
Yeah.
And then I might say, well, you might need to, but, Project X from scratch doesn't necessarily need to. So it's all kind of personable as well. Do you know what I mean?
I like it.
So I was just kind of thinking about the cyborg thing, really, and thinking how could we adapt that. So I made like a list of criteria, literally just off the top of my head 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
So the first thing we did with the cyborg was surfing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Chris Ronaldson was the cyborg.
Chris Ronaldson was the ultimate server. My question to you is: do you need do you need to be a top server to be a top 10 player?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you do either.
You just don't. You just don't. Like, because I just think about railroads and I think, oh god, that's so impressive. But at the end of the day, it just hits the back wall. Like, no matter how good you are, everyone's capable of just getting one back, like getting a serve back. And like once you can get it back, in theory, I mean, you've not lost, have you? Once you got it
Well,
back.
yeah, that's where I think you're being a bit too. I think what you're doing there is you're being a single figure handicap player.
Oh come on! You know that my conversation is then going to move to you can attack the serve, can't you?
But as in, it's not about getting it back, is it?
No, I know it's not.
If you think about when we do serve and return,
yeah,
like I can start to reel off points like from the hazard end against you. Would you agree?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
And that's where you could say that, if you got better at serving,
yeah,
would that be the difference? I guess that's the thing. If you stood there and really improved your serve, would that turn you from a 3 handicap to a top 10 player?
No, it wouldn't.
No, I don't think it would either.
I just don't think it would. No, I think like fair enough, your serve's a bit better, but before you cut me off, it was going to be like you're going to get the ball over, and then like then it's bringing into play a whole different sort of aspect of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think also we need to be like very quickly, very realistic about this. If we're saying just because we're saying you don't need to be a top server, we're not saying you can get away with being absolute garbage at serving. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think serving's one of those sides of the game that people don't invest enough into, and they don't think about it enough, particularly at club level. When I first got to Leamington, I was like surprised at the lack of like imagination in serving. I was just like, wow, they just literally chuck up a sideball serve and get on with it.
Respect.
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with it, but I was like, a few people kind of did a bit here. At club level, serving very important. Because if you can get like a couple of like really good serves on your back, you can take 5 points off your handicap easily at club level.
Yeah.
Easily. Because the difference is, if you upped your serving to me by 20%, all I would be thinking is, right, this guy serves a lot tighter. Right? I'm not going to misread anything you serve at me. So it's not like you're getting a load of aces because I'm misreading the spin or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. At
club level, you get that. Someone serves a big high, you're off at club level, and you see the other guy stood quite close to the penthouse, and you're like, this is going to spin over your head, mate. Like, and they just don't know it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to fox me by getting 20% better at serving, but you're going to serve tighter and really restrict what I can do. I don't think that's enough to suddenly make the jump from 3 to top 10.
Yeah. It's not the missing piece, right? I mean, people thought Hakim Ziyech was the missing piece at Chelsea, but I mean, serving is not the missing piece.
No. So we both agree on that.
Yeah, we do.
If we then move on to returning,
yes.
What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, you need to be a sick returner of serve to be a top 10 player.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, great. Personally. Yeah.
Because again, if we go back to what we were just saying about, like, I can reel off a few points against you at the hazard end, there's going to be a mixture there between you not serving well enough, but your serving has got a lot better in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I can still reel off points against you from the hazard end. So you could serve as well as you like.
It's not because I'm a bad server, it's because you're just sick at returning.
People are good at returning. And I remember having a conversation with Chris Ronaldson years ago about this, and I was like, "Oh, Chris, I'm just so bad at serving. Can you teach me how to serve?" And he was just like,
"It's all relative.
Yeah, let's look at some stuff." But he said, "You do have to realise that you're playing against the best players in the world. They are all the best returners in the world." He was like, "Let me use Rob as an example. If you're serving to Rob, it doesn't matter how good you are at serving. You're either going to be on the receiving end of a force or a cut volley. So which one do you want?" And I was like, I've never really thought about it like that. You spend your whole time thinking, "Oh, I don't serve well enough because you don't get them under enough pressure like you do at club level." Well, that doesn't exist at top 10. Doesn't matter who I serve to in the top 10, they're returning with interest. I'm not a very good server. Like, hold my hands up.
You're quite a good. You're quite a good server.
I'm not that. I mean, in terms of the top 10, I'm low. I'm bottom half.
You've got a good railroad.
But it's kind of irrelevant because if somebody said, do you want to make your serve 20% better, do you think that would be the difference between 4 and 1? I'd say no, because I'm still facing the best returners, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The returners are still going to put me under pressure. I'd much rather, for example, make my first shot after the serve better than my serve. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And a prime example of why serving is so important, if you just throw one name out there, is Tim Chisholm.
Why? What do you mean? As in, because he's a good returner?
As in, if you look at, as he's got, imagine like a footballer or something like that, as they get older, their attributes start to decrease.
So are we trying to say that Chisholm is like Ronaldo, just like he's playing as the last man between the sticks, he's just putting the ball in the net?
I'm trying to say that if you look at Tim 15 years ago compared to Tim now, he will be the first one to admit that he was considerably more mobile 15 years ago. When he was playing World Championships, finals, he would have been doing everything. Whereas now, he's like, I can't run around with these guys, but I've got a sick return of serve, and I can literally give myself 1 3-point a game and probably 1 chase a game just by being at the hazard end.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So running stats have decreased, but returning stats are. I would imagine if and when Tim gets out to practice, he literally just gets people to serve at him and just goes, right, this is my big weapon, and you can still plough through people with that weapon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part of it's going to be necessarily because people don't serve that well. And I remember having a long chat with Graham Highland about this, and he was like, "Oh, you guys just don't care about serving and stuff like that." And I was like, "No, we do. It's just that people are so good at returning." He's like, "If you invested more time in serving, you'd all get a lot better." And he's like, "I don't understand why you don't just all serve like perfect high giraffes." And I was like, "Well, Graham, if I could serve a perfect high giraffe every time, then I would, wouldn't I?"
The consequences are dire.
And he's like, "I would. Well, if you practice it, you can." And I was just like, I don't think making me 20% better at serving gets me 20% closer to beating Camden.
Yeah.
I didn't think that. So, but I don't know, it's interesting because he's also got a view and experience on it. I just assume that we're all better athletes now. Which is probably a bit rude, but I would imagine that the time that goes into that side of it is a lot better, so people can get around and stuff a bit more anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're too far off, to be fair. You could argue as well, in Graham Highland's time, maybe the returning was slightly worse, slightly more defensive.
Well, can you remember when we had Jonas on the show, we were talking about that.
Well, he said he was the hardest hitter.
And he just said, people didn't volley. He's like, great, I remember going to Australia and seeing Graham volley, and we were all just like, what the hell's he doing? So that's become a massive part of it at top level. But if you just weren't doing that, you're missing out on one big weapon, aren't you? And obviously, someone who should be mentioned in that conversation is like Julian Snow, who was top 10, very high top 10, number 1, without ever hitting a volley. But
I'm sure you would have hit some volleys.
Yeah, if you had to.
Yeah.
Never a volley return a serve. I remember playing World Championship doubles and Aussie Open doubles with him years ago in Melbourne, and he volleyed the serve, and I literally went like, "The hell are you doing?" And he goes, "Sorry, lost concentration."
Just hit some boast. Well, yeah, no, that's the return. It's just like, Julian, what are you doing? Sorry, but yeah, that's
again,
return
that question I know, having being in the top 10. Practicing my return serve made a massive difference to my level.
Yeah.
Like a massive difference. Serving suddenly stops becoming oh god, I can get into a bit of trouble down here. Whereas now I feel like it's a weapon.
I think I'm going to be a sick returner server after lockdown. Basically, what I'll do.
I think exactly. If you suddenly became a top, a really good returner server, your ranking improves massively. It's one of those tangible things which literally, if you get better, your ranking.
What I was doing wrong, when I forced, my arm's just too tense. I tense my arm, and so therefore you lose the power or whatever, or the actual swing. You lose the effectiveness of the swing. So if I can just stop tensing my arm, the swing's just a bit more free, and I think that's going to change everything.
Throw a licorice all sort at it, like a strawberry lake. have your arm all wobbly.
Like it needs to be wobbly
like
though.
One of those, like one of those inflatable guys that sits outside of car sales in America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just need to relax. Just need to relax my arm. I think that's going to be it.
So I just think there's absolutely no doubt. Let's get right. Top 10 in the world, or the rough 10 that I can think of, like return to serve. Cam's return to serve, decent, not the best by any stretch.
I'm sure he gets by.
Decent. Well, yeah, on return to serve, he does get by compared to other people. Like once that return to serve's in play, though, he demolishes people. But I wouldn't say he's one of the best returners in the world.
Yeah.
Rob Fay, yes.
Decent.
Like Chris Chapman, good cut volley. Nick Howe, good volley, good force.
Yeah, Nick Howe's good return serve.
Ben, they're all good. They're all returners.
You've got a good return.
I'd say it's one of the better sides of my game. Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
I've got no issues with my return to serve. Well, we'll find out on April the 12th, won't we?
I'll probably beat you.
Well, having said I won't misread anything, I'll probably get everything horribly wrong.
Exactly,
yeah. So I think we both agree that return to serve is absolutely huge, right?
Huge, mate. Yeah, you need to be a good return to serve. If you're not, you're way down.
So what about kind of ground stroke, forehand, backhand? Which one of those needs to be better?
Great question.
If you imagine you've got these attribute points you can hand out, do you need a better forehand or a better backhand? As a right hand, let's say.
In terms of ground strokes, I'd say you need a better backhand.
Right.
Because I'd say more shots go to your backhand, don't they? Like, fair enough, your forehand's good, you can finish more points, arguably, but I think you can get... I think points sort of finish themselves off at times. And I wouldn't necessarily say a ground stroke forehand is the one you're winning, like, points off, right?
Well, again, it depends who you are and what your kind of aspirations are with those shots. Like, if you're just an outright target hitter,
mate, you need to be able to have a good ground stroke to be a good player. You can't.
But what I'm saying is, if you're an outright target hitter, if I'm an outright target hitter and you give me a forehand ground stroke at the surface end, I'm going to try and hit the grill.
Okay.
I'm not saying I would, but if I'm an outright target hitter, that's what I'm going to go for. If I'm an outright floor player, obviously the grill's not on my radar. So I think it depends. That's why it's interesting. It depends on the style of player.
To be a top 10 player, you need a good floor game. Fact.
Well, yeah, that's a bit broad, but
no, but you do. I don't think you can get. We're talking about like other attribute points you could lose. Sure, you could maybe have like a 30% forehand, a 70% backhand, whatever. You cannot go below a certain level on the floor game, or else you would just get picked off.
Floor in general, you're absolutely right, because
that's the point I'm making. I think you can't you can't discount floor game. You have to be above 60% for both.
Yeah, because that would be the beauty about a top 10 player. They're generally speaking very well rounded. Like if somebody said to either of us, right, you've got to play somebody 10 points worse than you, which for me takes them out of the top 10, for you takes them to like 12, 13.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to hit any targets. You'd still win, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because the floor game's good.
I don't hit targets anyway.
Exactly.
I do.
If you were an outright target hitter, you might go, well, I can probably still win this, but it's a bit more of a struggle.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really known for my consistency on the floor or whatever it is. And I think if you're an outright target hitter and you don't, like you say, you don't have the floor stuff, if you're going to break down in rallies, that's going to affect how somebody plays against you. Because they're going to be like, do you know what? This guy's going to just unload some targets and I'm just going to have to see them out. But if I can get them on the floor 51% of the time, I'm going to win.
You're thinking about Daz it. So, I think Daz, when you talk about forehand, he's got a gun.
I'm not thinking about Darren.
Okay, fine. Well, his forehand's gun. You give him a ball in the forehand corner, he'll most likely, hit a grill. And you can't be playing a sort of game where you're giving him chances like that.
At your level, maybe, yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm joking. Carry on.
Mate, I'll hit you.
Nice of you to nibble hard on that one.
I'll hit you.
Well, not with the tennis ball. You don't hit it hard enough.
Yeah, good.
Let's move on.
Yeah, good. Unstoppable today. But yeah, so that's why like a floor game, like you need that. You just need it.
Yeah, I mean you've broadened that somewhat.
I haven't.
You have. I said, what's better? What would you need more of, a forehand or a backhand? And you've extended it to the whole of the floor.
And I said backhand, yeah, but I think backhand is more important.
So, which wing is better for you, forehand or backhand?
My backhand's better.
Can you think of anybody who, in the top 10, who is not good on that side of the court?
On the backhand?
Yeah, but it's obviously for like Cam and Steve, it's forehand.
Yeah, I won't count them because it's a completely different shot.
Well, that's why I said it's that half of the court though.
I can't think of anyone who's like that bad on the backhand.
All right, maybe Camden, good in that half of the court.
What, good as in on his backhand?
His forehand side.
Oh yeah, he's very good.
That half of the court, Cam good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Rob good.
Yeah, Rob's sick.
Well, we gave him backhand sideball.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, exactly.
Chapper's good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Me good.
Yeah, you're very good.
Nick good.
I haven't watched enough of Nick to know.
Vergona good.
His forehand's all right.
Right, Chisholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Lummers.
Yeah. I mean, I never really watched.
So what we're identifying there is none of those guys are bad in that half of the court.
Yeah, so you can't be a top 10 player without being good.
It's important to have a good backhand or to be good from that corner, not necessarily from the service end, but when you're at the hazard end and you've got the timbre to worry about as well, you've got to be pretty good in that corner.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with being bad in that corner. I don't think you can cover that up enough with other stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to be top 10, because I think you got to think that the guys in the top 10, if you've got weaknesses, they're going to be able to expose them enough during a match. Yeah. It's not going to be a question of just hit everything over there, because it's not as easy as that. But they're going to be able to expose that weakness enough to probably get through and win. Do you think? I can't think of anyone.
Completely.
Can't think of anyone who I play who's bad in that corner. I can think of one person off the top of my head who I'm absolutely not going to mention, or two people actually off the top of my head, who I'd be more than happy to just play in that corner, but not because they're bad at it, but because they're probably not going to hurt me from it.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anyone who's just outright pretty poor at it.
No, exactly, yeah.
Other side of the court then, forehand?
I can't think of anyone, mate. Everyone's good in the forehand.
Are they?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, you hit grills.
Yeah, I know. It's not like...
You hit grills, you're just not as good as like half volleying off the back wall as I am. That's okay, mate, you'll get there.
Well, you're absolutely right, mate, but I don't play so defensively that I'm thinking about retrieving, so you're absolutely right. I try and put myself in a position where I'm not having to try and retrieve worldly balls.
It does look good though. But yeah.
It does look good, like you flat post it out to the penthouse and then just get another one in there.
I think about that,
Don't worry about me, mate. Hardest worker in the room. I'm just gonna keep charging into that corner.
You know what that corner is. I can't wait to do that again.
But then it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you are an absolute weapon in that corner, maybe you can sacrifice the other one a bit.
Yeah. Maybe.
I personally think, in terms of top 10, like you said about the floor stuff, you've got to be rounded. And I would rather be super consistent on the backhand for right-handers wing.
Yeah.
And slightly flaky on the other one, because on the other one you're trying to hit winners. You could easily just tighten that up, do you know what I mean? Whereas so much of the game, as you said, gets played in that right-handers backhand, left-handers forehand corner. You get so many of them. I think it's really important that you've got to be tight there. Even if you're not hitting winners, you've got to be able to know that you're solid enough that the ball's going over more often than not.
Yeah.
And into an area.
Not
Do you agree?
Oh, mate, 100%.
So what we're saying is you don't need to worry about serving.
No.
Absolutely smash returns.
Yeah.
And be better on that side or no, not be better, but make sure you're seriously good on that kind of grill and traditional service corner side.
Yeah.
All right. I'm happy with those so far. Volleys?
You need a good volley. But you can get away with... Yeah, you need a good volley, defensively, certainly. I think everyone's got that. But, I mean, a cut volley is important. I mean, I know you say Snowy didn't have one, but I think...
Well, he didn't. But again, like, let's look at the time frame here. Like, without being rude, Snowy's not been a top player for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
20 years is a long time. So when was Snowy at his best, at his pomp? In the 90s?
96, 97,
right.
94.
And Wayne Davies was world champion in the early 90s, which is when the kind of volley return to serve, we're told, really kind of started to make its mark on the game.
Yeah.
So Snowy was at the top when people were kind of still figuring that out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not absolutely not belittling like that at all. I'm just saying, yes, Snowy was like number one in the world without a cut volley, and you look at that now and go, oh my god, how on earth did you do that? Like what an incredible achievement to be able to get to number one without hitting volleys.
Yeah.
But that was 20 years ago. 20 years is a lot. A lot's changed in real tennis in 20 years, don't you think?
So much, yeah.
You'd imagine. So anyway, sorry, mate, I butted in there. Volleys.
Yeah, you need a defensive one, and I think an attacking one is a lot of the difference between top 10 players and not.
Yeah, because you're probably, I imagine as we say that, people are thinking like, when we say good volley, we mean, volleys just into targets and into the nick the whole time and stuff like that. I don't think that's not what I mean at all. I mean, in my personal case, like I've said it many times, I got from where you are to kind of a plus player just literally by trying to intercept the ball more and cut it off more.
Yeah.
To just give my opponent less time. And I was not hit. The quality of my shot decreased.
Spooky.
Well, because I was trying to do something different. It's not like I decided I was going to start cutting the ball off a bit more and I was volleying everything to the grill or anything like that. I was volleying it over, but it wasn't tight. But it was just a change in kind of mindset. And then obviously over time you start to make it tighter and better. And then before you know it, you're like, what was it doing leaving that before?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Someone like a Steve Agona never lets the ball go past him.
He's a mint volleyer.
Just doesn't let it go past him unless he has to. I remember, I probably said it in the podcast, practicing with him in New York the year we won the doubles.
Oh, yeah.
And we were doing some cross courts. He was under the grill. And it's a bit different in a cross course because you've only got to cover that corner. I did not, in a whole basket, I didn't get the ball behind him once. And I just laughed like 3/4 of the way through, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "I haven't got the ball past you yet." And he just goes like, "That's the point, isn't it?" And laughed, and I was like, "Well, yeah, but it's not much fun for me, is it? You're better than me, and I'm literally just under the pump the whole time." So there's definitely a case. I mean, again, it's a mindset kind of player, isn't it? If you're just an outright floor retriever volleyer. Back waller, you could argue, I don't need like a really good volley.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it. You don't necessarily need one, but God, it helps.
Yeah, too right.
A lot.
Right, bro. We could talk all day about this, but I'm conscious of time. How many more aspects of the game have you got on your list?
How many do you think? All right, targets.
We could carry this on next episode.
It's completely up to you. Well, basically, I've got targets, fitness, and mentality. They're the only three I've got written down.
And we can probably talk more about volley as well. Okay, right. What we'll do is we'll carry this on next episode. How does that sound with you?
Absolutely fine.
Because we'll probably have thought of more aspects by then.
Fine.
So sorry, viewers at home, you're not going to get your full program of like what a top 10 player needs and maybe doesn't need.
But
as
for all
well.
those people in Australia and America, you can go and practice your return serve.
Yeah, I know, because the thing is, like, I was thinking, like, maybe I've said yes to too much, so I'm gonna have a rethink about what I've said. Maybe might listen back, and we'll get a definitive. I'm gonna make a percentage, like a total points, like a percentage.
I think that's my point. When we're saying does it need to be top notch? We're not. If you say no, that doesn't automatically mean it's rubbish.
Yeah, so we'll make like a pie.
Like, could you basically, if it's not really good, we're just saying it's average. It's unremarkable.
Bro, you can get on Microsoft Excel and you can make a pie chart of like what of the aspects of a top 10 player, what they need more and what they don't need. How about that?
Yeah, but it's all opinion, isn't it? The numbers are all opinion in terms of like percentage.
Yeah, but what we've come to. Yeah.
All right, we'll display that graph.
We will, but not yet. Next week.
Done.
Anyway, so we're on to the next, not just the next court, the next country, because we've finished America, we've finished the UK, we did an episode on France, and now we're on to Australia. This is what Sammy Legright commented on one of the earlier podcasts. Like, can we do an Australian court? It's like, yeah, we'll get to that. Like on episode 11. Like, oh, yeah.
I was just about to say it was like episode 11 or 12, and we were like, where do you want us to go next? And he was like, can we get like a review on Hobart? I was like, oof.
Yeah, mate. If you wait. So this episode, right? This episode, you've got to tag him in the on the Instagram, because like this is what you wanted.
All right, we'll make sure we talk about it at length.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I've never been, but I know where it is. It's in Tasmania.
Correct.
Yeah, that's Rob Faze from there. So,
correct. Yeah. So you've already gone through who have they produced?
Yeah, a bit of pub trivia. So funny. One more piece of trivia about Hobart, right? So there was like a hockey player at my cricket club, and he was from Tasmania. And I remember like my dad said something about real tennis to him. He was like, "Oh, I know real tennis. Yeah, the world champions from Tasmania. It's like one of the things Hobart's famous for." And I was like, "Oh my god."
No way.
Yeah, mate. Genuinely, I was like, "That's so flair." Like he was like, "Yeah, everyone knows about it." I was like,
"That's crazy."
I was like, "Wow." But yeah, I was like, I know Rob as well.
I mean, yeah, I've only been there once. Went there for the World Championship doubles 3 years ago, I guess.
2019.
I mean, the whole time. Time doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
January 2019.
2019 was it?
Yeah.
Lovely part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice part of the world. I stayed with Graham Bradfield, whose house was just like in an unbelievable spot. Like the views out onto the water every morning from this place were just insane.
Yeah.
Court's in the middle of town, which is very handy, but it's quite. I was going to say it seems like a relatively quiet town, but I was there in January, so middle of the summer, so I would have seen it at its busiest, I guess. But yeah. It's quite. It's very manageable. But you know, right on the water and stuff. It's just a very nice. It's just a lovely part of the world. Very nice part of the world. For me personally, I couldn't help but kind of be aware of how far away I was from the rest of the world.
Trust you.
As in, that didn't affect the time I had. There, I had a great time there. Like, so hospitable. Everyone's really friendly. Every time you go to Australia, like everyone's in a good mood the whole time.
Yeah.
Really welcoming, great fun club, really social, really enjoyed it. I guess I remember I had that feeling when I first went to Melbourne. I was like, God, I'm so far away from anywhere else on the planet right now. And then when you take the extra hour's flight to Hobart, you're like, I'm not even on like the mainland anymore. You're like, wow, I'm quite far away here. Anyway, court is the club's very nice. You walk in, you've got like a really nice big reception area, kind of similar to Newport. Which you've never been to either, have you?
No, never been to Newport,
no. So you walk in, you've got this big kind of like rounded desk, and the pros are like in behind there with a couple of computers and stuff. Like it's effectively a reception if you're walking into like a laser test, but it's not. I think it's much nicer than that. So you've got like a really social kind of welcome area as you go in, and basically they then look straight through to the back of the dead on, which is a big, which is like a big kind of decking area. I think they can pull like a curtain across to kind of section it off and stuff. And then there's like a club room bar in behind that and stuff. So in terms of layout, it is actually really good. It's a really good sociable kind of layout.
Yeah.
They've got like a dinner room upstairs and like an outdoor decking area as well. It's just, I would say, like very understated. Like
Yeah.
it's not full of like really expensive modern stuff or anything like that. But the layout is absolutely brilliant. Really friendly place. Members are great, social. Everyone's always desperate to buy you a beer.
The timbre's a bit weird, isn't it?
So the court itself is kind of very kind of darky pink red. The typical kind of real tennis red floor. Walls are blue, and yeah, it's just I wouldn't say it's a weird court, but it's just different from everything. It's one of those courts where you play on. It's like going to Paris and you're like, this is real tennis, but it's different.
It's different.
When you go from court to court, you've got these subtle changes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go to like a Paris and you're like, right, this is a massive difference because it's a lot bouncier. The dead on's a lot bigger. The stroke area at the hazard end is a lot smaller. Than it's not like the dimension of a football pitch where they change slightly. You go to Paris and you're like, right, that's a big difference. It's like you go to Preston, the stroke area at the hazard end is considerably bigger.
Yeah, when you watch the game, when I've watched highlights from Hobart, it's weird. Like it's really bouncy, and the grill's obviously tiny.
Mate, the galleries are tiny. Like all the targets are tiny. All the openings are tiny. And when we say the grill's tiny, again, it's like if you hit the grill, well played. And if you hit the grill in doubles, like seriously well played.
Yeah.
Because it's small, and it's very small. The ledge is very high.
Yeah.
So same kind of things we were talking about with Chicago last week. Actually, things that you kind of hit and you're like, yeah, that's in, and then you see it hit the back wall under the grill and you're like, wow, that's not in. Because that ledge is higher than the rest. The timbre is like an Oxford tuxedo kind of timbre.
Yeah.
Takes the ball like into the back wall behind you.
Yeah, tuxedo's a good point. It's almost like Oxford, like it's a really weird timbre.
Yeah, so you can hit like, you can hit like a timbre, and it will effectively, sometimes if you get the height and the speed and stuff, it can just nick against on the back wall.
Serious?
Yeah, because that's the kind of angle. That's the kind of angle that you're getting. So it's quite. It's a very good home court.
Oh yeah.
It's tough to as in there's certain courts that you would go to, right, as an away player. Like a Bristol for me is exactly like one of those. You walk on and within 3 balls that you see around the corner, you're like, right, fine, got this place sorted out, because it doesn't do anything at any level of extreme. Do you know what I mean? It's not extremely bouncy or extremely cutty. It's not extremely fast or extremely slow. Like everything's middle of the road, and it's very comfortable to play on as an away player.
Yeah.
Hobart is not like you wouldn't walk on court. It's like a lot of people struggle when they go to Preston Hall, right?
Yeah.
You don't go to Preston having never played there. Play someone who plays there twice a week and chop them up. Like it just doesn't happen. You always lose your first match at Preston, right? It's just the way it is.
Well, I don't mind Preston, but yeah.
No, I know, but as in like as a club player, if you turn up, you're going to be like, oh, this is really different to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I think Hobart would be like that for members. I think they would get there and kind of go, this is like the timbre is too different for me to figure out quickly. The targets are tiny. It's really difficult to hit galleries. So it's great place for World Championship doubles.
Mate, a lot of good players have come from Hobart, So obviously you got Rob,
absolutely.
KB. Who else is from Hobart?
Or KB, Rob, wasn't Curly's from Hobart.
Yeah, Ricky Ponting.
Ponting.
Yeah. He was.
Wow.
But yeah, well, you say a lot of people. I mean, Rob's definitely from there.
Well, they've got the ultimate, haven't they? That's the
GOAT.
Yeah, they can always say that. So they've always got that in there.
Yeah,
that feather in their cap.
It'd be cool to go, actually. I mean,
what's interesting is as you're at the service end, so to the left above the service penthouse, they've got some windows, but the out of play line is above them. So
wow.
So the windows are out, but they're surrounded by blue paint. So
Right.
you can effectively serve and play like in between the windows, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Which is good for you to know when you're retrieving all those balls out of the corners that are going out into orbit.
Oh yeah, perfect for me.
They can stay in.
Yeah.
So it is quite bouncy. I remember not really figuring out the speed of it on the floor particularly well when I was there, and then kind of quickly disregarding it and saying, well, it's doubles anyway, so I don't need to worry too much about it. Don't need to worry too much about the floor.
You did drop a set to Graham Highland in that tournament.
Absolutely, and Tony Blom, yeah, those are doubles.
Respect.
Yeah, the penthouse. In fact, that reminds me, the penthouse is low and shallow. So if you're a lefty there,
yeah,
you can really effortlessly chuck in really good railroads.
Oh, I like that.
Like effortlessly. Again, somewhere like the opposite of Paris, where it's so steep and you've got to like literally tear your shoulder out of joint by the end of the week because you've had to hit your railroad so hard just to get it to the back of the court.
Yeah, same with Manchester as well.
Completely the opposite of like Hobart.
Oh right, so just rag.
It's just very shallow, so it stays on there quite easily, which is good. You don't need to absolutely shred the ball around. But no, I enjoyed it there. Really enjoyed the setup they've got and stuff like that. I didn't play my best tennis there, but that's the only time.
Doesn't matter. At least you've been.
Well, we took a set off Tim and Cam in the semis, so we kind of turned around and got it a bit better. Turned it around pretty quickly.
Now you're older and more experienced.
I'd like to go there and play singles. I'd like to see what it's like playing a singles match there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the 2 times they've done the Aussie Open, while I've been kind of competing, I've not gone. I've not been able to go.
Yeah.
But I would like to. I would like to play like a Aussie Open there or something and see what it's like singles wise.
Well,
you need to get yourself over there, mate. It's only an hour from Melbourne.
An hour on the plane?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Wow. Shit.
It's nothing.
That's easy.
Very easy. I think the flights are very expensive in the summer.
No excuses then.
No, exactly.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, eh? I think they were going to do the Van Allen there or the George Lynn, which would have been this year. That's going to be in Hobart. So all things being normal, I would have gone.
Brilliant.
Mate, I would have.
When you're in somewhere like Melbourne, you're in a massive city. Whereas in Hobart, you wouldn't. You'd be in a town. So, like, you'd just be like a group of guys. Like, that would be absolutely perfect.
The banter would be unbelievable.
We'd end up just doing
so
much stuff together as a group. Like that would be a proper social tournament. That's a great venue for.
It'd be right at my street. Is there a gym at Hobart?
Not in the club, no.
God.
As far as I know, I could be corrected there, but
if
there was, I didn't stumble across it.
That's why. I mean, we'll get on to Melbourne, but I mean that's why Melbourne's just the best in the world. Like, it's got a gym, but yeah, Hobart would be sick.
I disagree with you massively there.
What?
It's the best in the world because it's got a gym.
Well, no, I've not really thought about what I've said. But
do you not think the gym facilities at Philly
are
significantly better?
You do this all the time to me. I just say stuff without thinking, and you think that's what I actually think, but I need to explain further.
Well, I'm going to call you out on it. Melbourne does not have the best gym in the world of real tennis.
I know it doesn't, but it does have a gym.
Yes, it does, yeah. Well, my house has got a gym. It doesn't have a real tennis court.
Yeah. Your garden, yeah. Best real tennis court ever. But yeah, no. Hobart does sound pretty sick. I look forward to going one day, hopefully.
Absolutely great place for like a Van Allen or something.
Yeah, trust me.
What's the England Australia? Is that the limb?
Yeah, that's the limb. Yeah.
And then England America is Van Allen.
Yeah.
And then what's the Australian American?
The Clothier.
So Van Allen American, Lim Australian, Clothier.
The Clothier. Yeah, the Clothier's what? Australia, America.
Yeah, but who was Clothier? What nationality?
He's American.
So America have got 2 of the 3 junior tournaments named after American people.
Yeah, they should name one like the Talbot Williams or something.
Just the Shenkman.
No, not me. Come on. Yeah, there's something else. Yeah, who knows? Anyway.
Okay, sponsor it.
Right, okay, bro. What is your favourite aspect of Hobart?
Ooh. I just think. Oh God, I'm thinking here. This is tough. It's tough. I just think it's one of those places that you walk in. The moment you walk in, you've got like somebody at the desk just being like, "Hey Ben, how are you?" And then you've just got members surrounding you like constantly, like, "Do you want a drink? How's it going?" Like just friendly. Just the atmosphere there is just top notch.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a good mood all the time. Everyone's in there to have a good time, be friendly, be social. Yeah, it's just such a welcoming place.
Love that.
I had a great time there, really enjoyed it. It was just a bit of a shame that it was like crammed straight in before the Aussie Open, because as soon as we got knocked out, basically, pretty much straight to the airport and off to Melbourne. So
good. Well,
I spent New Year's Eve in Hobart.
Mate.
There you go. I saw it the New Year in Hobart.
Well, there you go. I mean,
very good.
You lived a very amazing life.
Well, I mean, when I say I saw it New Year's Eve in Hobart, I was literally I went to bed at 10:30 and woke up at like midnight because I could hear the fireworks go off. So I basically I think I texted Sally and was like, "Have a New Year," and I went straight back to sleep. So it wasn't exactly the biggest New Year of my life.
It's all right. It was New Year though.
It certainly was.
Good. Right. Well, what are you doing for the rest of today?
Gym at 11. Then 1 o'clock I will have something to eat. Then
Get to 4.
Jump in the shower, have a stretch, and then absolutely no idea.
Yeah, good.
Not much, just the usual.
I rate it.
Try and kill time, really.
Oh yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
How about you? Off to work?
Yeah, off to work. Then gym when I get home. Well, gym. I just do a bit of a workout, do some stuff.
Do some press ups.
Yeah, exactly. Go on eBay, try and find more football figures.
Who's any latest additions?
Yeah, so
last week?
Obviously, I messaged you when I had a few beers last night. Not last night, on Saturday night, and I'm still looking for a Skillaci figure, but I did on Saturday buy 3 figures. I bought an Attilio Lombardo. You ever heard of him?
Mate, a Lombardo is what Brendan Ricardo called me as my nickname.
Oh right, because you got no hair.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, very good. Liam Brady Juventus.
Oh dear.
And what else did I get? And a Zola for Parma.
Mate, like Lombardo is one of those guys, right, that they're so much better when they're an enigma. So like Lombardo, when he was playing in Serie A, you were just like, "Oh God, Antonio Lombardo, what an absolute gun!" And then when he turned up and played for Palace, you're like, "Well, now he plays in the Prem."
Yeah.
It was like Ravanelli. Ravanelli was like, "Oh my
Juventus,
God.
yeah.
Like God, Fabrizio Ravanelli," and then he just came to the Premier League, and you were like, "Oh," and now he's a journeyman for like Middlesbrough.
Derby.
Like that.
And I got outbid at the last second for a Gaza Lazio figure, which I was devastated.
Oh mate, that would have been quality.
I know.
And just for my benefit, so I can obviously mock you for it.
Go on.
How much did you get outbid by? You were reluctant to pull the trigger on £4 or something?
No. So I was winning the bid, and then at the last second, he's just gone higher than what I bid.
Yeah. What did you bid?
Well, I bid £1.
Right, exactly. So you were gutted. Why didn't you just say, "Do you know what? I'm willing to pay a tenner for this," and you would have got it for £1.20?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh well. I probably should have done that. Yeah.
I mean, if you want something enough, then slinging like a tenner at it shouldn't be a bad idea.
Clearly, I didn't want it enough, but I'm in the market for a Taribo West at the moment. So yeah.
For who?
I think Nigeria's got cool hair.
Yeah, but which club?
No, he's an international kit.
Oh, no Taribo West Inter.
You can get those ones and AC as well, but yeah, that's for another day.
That's for another 60, 70p.
Yeah, well, something like that. But nonetheless, yeah, well, I don't know how we just managed to fill 2 minutes about me talking about my football figures, but yeah, that's what they're like. My friends, all right. I counted them up the other day. I've got 91. So my room's full of them. Right, well, guys, sorry about the end of that podcast, but until episode 48.